Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers lose a pathetic, blown lead. They lose to the last place San Jose Sharks 3-2 in overtime. They had a 2-0 lead going to the third. They have 2 goals in quick succession early in the third and lost the game in overtime. This ends the road trip. The Rangers finished 1-2-1 on the trip. They have 2 more games up before the All-Star break, home against Vegas and at Ottawa, back-to-back nights, Friday and Saturday. This was really, really bad. I mean, this is a game that you have to win and get 2 points easily, and that doesn't happen. So a lot of blame to go around in this game. Not sure where to begin. I guess I'll start with Mika Zibanejad. He really, being streaky is probably fair. And I think when you look at his stats, they're misleading. So he really didn't do much all game. The power play has not been good lately. And just there's no aggression has never been a part of Mika's game, but I wouldn't go as far as to say like that he is, passive isn't fair either, because he's always basically been a good two-way player, plays in all situations. And honestly, Mika Zibanejad has probably been one of my favorite Rangers over the last however many, 4 or 5 years probably. But we're seeing someone that might be on a little bit of a slow decline, possibly. Not to say that he's not capable of going crazy. Look, just a few weeks ago, Mika was putting up crazy points. But even within that, again, a little misleading. So the game-winning goal in overtime is a play where the Sharks got away with a couple of pick plays. They probably should have been called for interference. They weren't. But Mika loses his stick and decides to leave the play and go for it. And sets up a situation where the Sharks basically have a 3-on-2. Why would you do that exactly? That's just not having your head in it. Why? That serves you no purpose. At least stay in the play. I'm not saying that that'd be great either, but you're just literally giving the Sharks a totally great opportunity, which they would convert and win the game. So he comes to mind as, a core member of this team that has just been really, really disappointing, and someone that you need a lot more from. And I know that there's bigger issues than him, obviously, but if I'm Laviolette, I'm demanding a lot more from him. And Kreider to a lesser extent. He's, again, I put him in that conversation, but I look more to Mika. So that, I don't like what I've seen from him really at all. Eric Gustafsson really starts this downturn in this game, makes a terrible turnover behind the net. Rangers are really securely winning this game 2-0. It wasn't over, clearly, but they were in a pretty good spot. They were playing pretty well, and Gustafsson just turns it over and the Sharks score. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. And I've been saying for a long time, Gustafsson has not been good for a while now. Has he been horrific? No. I wouldn't go as far as to say that. He hasn't been good. Second goal, the tying goal, a lost faceoff by Nick Bonino. And ends up in the back of the net. And who scores it? Ryan Carpenter. So, former Ranger scores again. But it wasn't Anthony Duclair. It was Ryan Carpenter, who has 3 goals in the season, 2 versus the Rangers. You can't make that shit up. And Bonino loses the faceoff. And, he is someone that should not be playing. I've been saying this. His best days are long, long behind him. It's not even close. But there's others in that as well. I keep on saying, this is not a great roster. Just isn't. The bottom 6, there's only a few good players in that bottom 6. And the top 6 has a couple of guys that probably don't really belong there either. So, I think next game, I would get Pitlick in there for Bonino. Not that that's going to change much, like I've said, but it's just been completely unacceptable, the output they've been getting. And like I said last episode, Barclay Goodrow has not been really good at all like he had been. Like the last 2 years, he was always overpaid, but like it didn't bother you as much. But he does nothing now. So, I'm not sure where you go from here, but what I can say is it isn't working. It is not working, and changes need to be made. Because, look, think about it. Without Artemi Panarin, where would this team be? It's kind of a scary thought. Like, he really needs to be in that MVP conversation. Like, no doubt about it. Like, with what everyone else is doing. I will give praise to someone. Vincent Trocheck was named to the All-Star game as a replacement, and that is certainly well-deserved in Ranger terms. If it's not Panarin, who's the next guy that is deserving of being in the All-Star game? It's Trocheck. So I'm happy for that. That is something that I think, especially based on expectation, is certainly deserved. So happy that he's going to be going. But let's talk about this game. This is, for me, definitely one of the most frustrating games of the season, without a doubt. I know they got a point, but it was bad. Really, really bad. And no blame goes to Igor at all in this one. So, first period, Rangers take the lead. At 7:55, Adam Fox scores his 8th goal of the season from Lafreniere and Trocheck. So Fox, he has been certainly on the score sheet, has been getting a lot more involved. I think he might have maybe 11 points in his last 10 games. So as much as there's been some defensive mishaps, Fox has been probably one of the Rangers' better players lately. So Fox scores it's his 8th goal of the season, like I said, from Lafreniere and Trocheck. Someone who's been really bad lately, Jacob Trouba. I thought Trouba was horrendous tonight. He has been shit lately. So, Trouba, who, it's funny, there's certain players that when they were playing well, they were a key part of it. I thought Trouba was limiting the mistakes, and sure, the offense wasn't so much there. But here's the weird thing. Now Trouba is on the second power play unit. How did that come to be? The last couple games, Trouba is back on the second power play unit. A, why was Gustafsson taken off? And B, wouldn't you then go to Keandre Miller? Why would Trouba? I don't know how the fuck that happened. So some of the things that Lavioletta's doing are bothering me lately. The fact that he loves that fourth line, to protect the lead, it's not that good. It's not that good. Benito centering Goodrow Vesey is not a good line. It's not like this great defensive, the way that you want it to be. I don't see it that way. I don't know about everyone else, but I sure as hell don't. So, Rangers take that 1-0 lead. We go to this, then there was a penalty at 18:37. Trocheck knees Kyle Burrows. Rangers kill that off. We go to the second period, and the Rangers take a 2-0 lead, and it's Artemi Panarin, his 29th goal of the season from Fox and Miller. So Fox gets a goal and assist. Another goal for Panarin, who has just been, magnificent. He has been, a main reason why the Rangers still sit atop the Metropolitan Division. Part of that is because just the division isn't that good. That's kind of I don't know, I guess there's maybe depth to it in terms of if you look the top 6 or 7 teams, sure, maybe I'll give you that. But in terms of the top of the division, it's probably one of the weaker top of divisions among the 4. So anyway, Rangers take a 2-0 lead. Then Trouba is called for delay game at 3:36. Rangers kill it off. Then the Sharks take a penalty at 6:36. The Rangers don't score. So these are things that matter. Rangers had a couple of power plays up 2-0 and don't get it done. Panarin's called for tripping Tomas Hertl, 11:38. Rangers kill it off. Then at 13:57, Ruda holds Trocheck, but they don't score on that power play either. All it would have taken was that. This power play has been good. And to me, a big reason is Mika. He's not a threat, at all. In terms of I'm trying to look at this objectively with the 5 individual players and what they're doing and contributing and, what they might pose to the opponent. And Mika, why should I be afraid of him at this point if I'm an opposing team? So it's 2-0 Rangers, end of 2 at San Jose. And mind you, San Jose last night won at LA. So they had a game the night before where they won. This is not a team that wins often. This is the worst team in the NHL. They won a game against a divisional opponent that went to the shootout. This game was lined up for the Rangers to get an easy 2 points. And they basically said, nah, we don't want that. We're not going to take the 2 points. So at 2:19, Nico Sturm scores his third goal of the season unassisted. Gustafsson tries to make a cute little pass behind the net to Braden Schneider, and it gets intercepted by Sturm, and Igor's out of position. But that wasn't Igor's fault. Gustafsson totally fucked up, and from there, it all changed. And then at 4:27, Ryan Carpenter, who was on the Rangers last year sparingly, scores his third goal of the season from Ruda and Zadina. So I'm not sure if Carpenter was the one who originally won this faceoff, but he makes a nice deflection where Trouba was unable to kind of tie him up, and Carpenter with the deflection off of a faceoff lost by Bonino. And let me see, how was Bonino tonight in faceoffs? Decent. But Nick Bonino's numbers with the faceoffs have gotten a lot worse, whereas I think originally, early in the season, he was like up there. And now it's been pretty ordinary. So again, for him, like, yeah, he is not what I was giving him some praise early in the season, like that he did the little things and that he was good in the penalty kill. Yeah, I'm not even really seeing a whole lot of that lately. So you don't want to have both. To me, you don't want to have both Bonino and Goodrow. You just want to have one. You don't want to have both. It's just redundant, and it's lack of speed. It's lack of any offensive production. And you also got, like, bottom six, Blake Wheeler's cooked. He is, like, and Johnny Brodzinski, like, yeah, sure, he's a higher energy player. He does what he can. He's limited. He's an AHL player. I feel bad for Will Cooley that he's stuck playing with these bums. Like, Will Cooley deserves more playing time. That's one person that's getting the short end of the stick. He should be playing a lot more than he does. And so now it's 2-2. It's 2-2 now, and the Rangers get a power play. Addison cross-checks VZ at 14-6. What do the Rangers power play do? Nothing. And either before or after this power play, Lafreniere has a golden opportunity to bury it and shoots it wide. That's not good enough. That is not good enough. Lafreniere needs to be scoring more. He has, like, look, is he putting himself in position to score? Yes. So good for him, but you got to get it done. He's just not, the results just aren't there, and it's frustrating. But it's better than Kaapo Kakko, who does basically next to nothing these days, right? Let's be honest for a second here. Like, is he responsible defensively? Yeah, he is. This is a number 2 overall pick that is really, really getting worse. And boy, does he need Filip Chytil back in the worst way. I think that's the only way, because they've had good chemistry. This team really needs him back. Just as a starting point. I look at this team and I don't see this team as a true cup contender. No way. A lot needs to be done for that to happen. I think that right now, I think the furthest that I can see them going, if things broke their way and they're healthy, is the conference final. That's as far as I see this going right now. And even that's probably generous. And even that, I think by some is generous. This could be a first-round knockout, like depending on who they play. But it's 2-2. We go to overtime. And it starts out with Zibanejad, Kreider, Miller. Then Trocheck, Panarin, Fox. And then it's Zibanejad, Lafreniere, Miller, which, again, with your lack of center options, that's kind of what's happening. But the Sharks end up with the puck. And there was a couple of pick plays that could have been called, but where it goes wrong, and look, Lafreniere defensively is horrendous. Like, horrible. Really, really bad. Like, I'm not sure if other fans feel that way, but when it's in the defensive zone, like, you don't feel good about it at all with him. So, Zibanejad loses his stick, and he goes to the blue line to pick it up and leaves his player. And then Lafreniere should have, like, stuck with, I mean, it's a tough position because, you know, Lafreniere, I think, should have stuck with his man. But what ends up happening is Hertl ends up wide open and scores down low. It's his 15th goal of the season, assisted by Ruda and Barabanov. So this is Shesterkin's first loss in the overtime or shootout. So he had been, like, maybe like 18-11 or something like that. And so now he would be like something like that. Now he's like 18-11-1. So yeah, this game doesn't fall on Igor at all. None of the 3 goals he could have done anything about. Yeah, I mean, the first one, like, I guess, but how could he have known that Gustafsson would have fucked up like that? So, but yeah, this game definitely bothered me more than most and more than a while. Like, it's just, you have a 2-0 lead against the worst team in the NHL going to the third, a team that played the night before and won against their biggest rival. David Quinn, that's who you lost to in that fashion. Unacceptable. Totally unacceptable for that to happen. So now you have 2 more games again before the break, and it's against Vegas and it's against the Senators. You better win both. I'm accepting nothing less than 4 points. Nothing less. That's what it has to be. Against a Vegas team that kicked the shit out of you a week ago, that is injured, and you're at home against them. So this should be an angry Ranger team. And then an Ottawa team that also, beat you handily. So I don't care what it is. They better be ready to go and play as close to a 60-minute performance as possible heading into the break. Because then they don't play again until like February 5th. It's a long break, so you want to feel somewhat good about things. But if I'm Chris Drury, like, I am watching this with a very close eye, because this thing, could, it probably won't go off the rails, but Laviolette isn't really getting through to them anymore. And that's the problem with this core. Like, just the bad habits creep in, and there's no way to just get it out of them. They love going east-west. They love it. They can't help themselves. That is such a losing recipe, and the other team knows that you're going to do that. We see the same thing. So it's like, I don't know. The thing is, like, you're locked up with this core. I mean, this is what it's going to be for the next few years at least. So there's not a whole lot. That's the thing with Drury. There's not a whole lot that he can even do. And maybe that's for the best. To me, what might be for the best is not trading real future assets. Hedl comes back. You make a couple of tweaks here and there, but I certainly would not be giving up, any real draft pick, any like first round draft picks or anything like that. Not that they'd really even be able to do that, because they're so tied up against the cap. It would have to be 50% retained, but yeah, the only reason why things are where they are is because the Metropolitan Division sucks. And the Rangers got up to such a good start. They gave themselves such a cushion that even now, they're still in an okay situation. But boy, this was, I don't want to say eye-opening, but just extremely frustrating and really, really disappointing that they would have done this against a team like that really had no interest in even winning the game. He just handed it to them. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, 2 more games before the break. They better win them. Rangers with a disgusting, bad loss. They lose 3-2 in overtime to the San Jose Sharks.